Hey boss, Emily here with a little ask for you. It's time for our annual audience survey. If you're listening to this, I want to hear from you. Taking the survey only takes a few minutes and it helps us understand what type of support you need from this show. Tell us more about yourself and you better bet I read every single one to help us shape a whole year of content at beingboss.club/survey. Welcome to Being Boss, a podcast for creatives, business owners, and entrepreneurs who want to take control of their work and live life on their own terms. I'm your host, Emily Thompson, and in this episode, I'm joined by Tieghan Gerard, New York Times bestselling author and founder of Half Baked Harvest, one of my favorite food blogs, to talk about her journey from food blogger to entrepreneur and prioritizing creating from a place of inspiration. You can find all the tools, books, and links we reference on the show notes at www.beingboss.club. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to this show and share us with a friend. As we all know, being an entrepreneur feels less lonely and more approachable when you hear about the journeys of those who came before you or who are making their way alongside you. And if more of those stories is what you're hungry for, cue up an episode of the Finding Founders podcast, hosted by Sam Donner, brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. Designed to inspire, Finding Founders is a podcast about vulnerability and entrepreneurship, where you learn from the life stories of founders, activists, and even drug lords. For something a little more boss-aligned, check out the recent interview with Jen Levy, who turned a passion for gardening into a mission to build community farms and teach others to grow food locally. You can listen to Finding Founders wherever you get your podcasts. Tieghan Gerard, New York Times bestselling cookbook author of Half Baked Harvest Super Simple and Half Baked Harvest Every Day, creates recipes inspired by the people and places she loves most. Tieghan develops, styles, and photographs all of her recipes, making her a standout triple threat in the food world. Tieghan launched her blog Half Baked Harvest in 2012 and has since reached an audience of millions of people who have fallen in love with her fresh take on comfort food, stunning photography, and charming life in the mountains. Her hope is to inspire a love for food and others, as well as the courage to try something new. Her latest cookbook, Half Baked Harvest Every Day, is available now and everywhere books are sold. Tieghan, welcome to Being Boss. I am so excited to have you on the show today.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I was just sort of saying before we jumped on that I'm a big fan. I didn't tell you sort of how it doesn't go far. It's not like creepy or anything, but I've been baking and cooking things from your blog for years. And you've become a favorite among some of my friends. Like we're like, what have you made from Half Baked Harvest lately? You've become sort of a reference point, for holiday get-togethers and just like friend get-togethers. So it's such a pleasure to be chatting with you today. But first, thank you for doing what you do. You feed me and have fed me for years.
Thank you so much. I love that. It's always so fun to see, what recipes people really connect with, what you and your friends are making. It's incredible to see. So I love to hear that. That's amazing.
Love it. Well, it's a good mixture of like oldies but goodies, and we're trying out new things all the time too. And I'm excited to share you with the Being Boss audience today, because whenever I think about creating content online and showing up and just doing the work, you're always one who comes top of mind for me. So I'm very excited to share your story with our folks today.
Well, thank you. That's such a compliment, especially for someone who's been podcasting for as long as you have. I mean, you've had to stick with it too. You're an OG, as they love to say.
Indeed. I like to call us dinosaurs in the podcasting world a little bit. And I think we'll have some fun things to bounce around today in terms of what it means to continue showing up and creating in the way that we do. We just have incredibly different mediums and ways of doing it. So to get started, I'd like to start with really just setting the scene and sharing with everyone the foundation of who you are and how you got here, so that the rest of our conversation has some really good context. So if you don't mind, let's start there. Share a bit about your journey and let us know how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so it really all starts all the way back in middle school, I guess I would say. So I'm actually one of 8 kids. I have 5 brothers and, nope, I have 6 brothers. I have 6 brothers and 1 sister. And we're just a whole bunch. We're a whole thing. Very close with my family. My family is all really, really close. They're a big part of my day to day. They're everything. But when I was in middle school, we were living in Cleveland at the time, which is where I'm originally from. And my dad, things were busy. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she was always more, I think that when my older brothers were younger, she did a lot more cooking, but at some point she sort of transitioned and she just became the baker. She loves to bake, or loved to bake. And we would kind of have like cookies on the table before like dinner was really thought about. My dad always did dinner, but he would work 9 to 5 in the city and then he would go to the gym. So he wasn't getting home until 8 o'clock at night or so. And then we were eating dinner 9:30. And it was like tacos, chicken and rice, a whole
dad food.
Yeah. A whole lot of the same. It wasn't, my dad's like a great cook. His tacos to this day are like everyone's favorite. But it's time to switch it up. So, I've always been someone, I never enjoyed school as a kid. And I really have always just been a creative person, really loved to do things with my hands, would rearrange my bedroom on the weekends, always said I wanted to go into styling, wanted to be a stylist. I would do a lot of shopping with my grandma and would style her. She had a mannequin. She was a very, I would say, high class woman. And she liked, to do a lot of shopping, which I didn't mind. It was so much fun. We would do a lot of shopping together. And so I always said I really, really wanted to go into fashion. I really wanted to be a stylist. And that's kind of like what I lived and breathed growing up all through high school. But at the same time, I was cooking dinner for my family because I had just started cooking dinner eventually in middle school at some point, and really never stopped from like the day that I started to, today, honestly. I started cooking dinner. It was like just some basic Rachel Ray recipes at first. My brother absolutely loved the cheeseburger mac and cheese, that I made. And, I think I really enjoyed being able to make my family and I'm the middle child, which I don't know, people have all the things to say about that. Being able to provide for my family in that way and help out in that way. And I stuck with that all throughout middle school and high school, was going to go to school out in LA for fashion design, and went to LA and I was like, I hate LA. No, thank you. Don't need to be here. Came home and at that time we had moved to Colorado. We moved to Colorado when I was in about 9th grade. And I came home to Colorado and it was really my mom, that was kind of encouraged me to start the site. And the day that I started, I really never looked back and I never stopped posting, and I haven't posted. There has been at least 5 posts a week since that day. And it's been about 10 years now, which is crazy. And that's the backstory.
That's amazing. Okay. I have a couple little follow-up questions along the way. One is, were you styling that hamburger mac and cheese?
That I don't think I was. That's why I haven't made it since, because it's scary.
Not much you can do there. When did you start working the styling into it? Were you that middle school kid? Because I will say, I very much so remember, whenever I was about that age, also cooking for my family and thinking it was really fancy to salt and pepper the plate before I put the food on. That was my version of styling, in 5th, 6th grade.
Sure.
Of just watching Martha Stewart on TV, wanting to style with what you got, salt and pepper, okay, and doing it. So were you styling your food back then? And when did that work into how you were cooking and sharing this food with people?
I think I always tried to make it look nice because I truly believe that we eat with our eyes. We do not, the first thing that we eat with is our eyes. Obviously we eat with our taste as well. But if that food doesn't look good, why would you be excited about it? So I always have, I think, tried to make it look good. And was I doing what I do today? No, definitely not. I really started to make an effort to style the day I started the site because I just knew, for whatever reason, I just knew inside of me, like, I got to make this food look good. Or maybe I just loved to make things look good. I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of rhyme or reason as to why I was doing things. I was just doing at the time. I wasn't thinking about it. I was just doing. And I think that was really beneficial to me. I wasn't overthinking anything. There is something to be said about jumping into something full force, all feet in, and not knowing anything that you're doing and not having really any, there was no what happens if there was no this was it. It was like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. No big deal. So I had nothing to lose. Thank you. I was losing the words. All I was trying to say is I really had nothing to lose. So I just jumped right in and I went for it. I didn't overthink anything, which now I overthink everything. So I semi want to be back to that newbie self. But
there's beauty in that beginning part of the process, though, where it's not strategy. You're just showing up in the way you feel called to show up. And it sounds like you were just in it in that phase. And I understand you get over strategic as things go on sometimes. But that sounds like where you were just showing up and doing what felt good, in the way that felt good. And with this, no expectations, let's just see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I had no idea what I was doing.
None of us do. I want to call back to the, 10 plus years ago, when you were in LA, you decided that wasn't going to be the thing. You moved back. You were letting go of a dream that you had held for a really long time to come back and do who knows what, maybe a food blog. I don't know. Right? Do you remember what that felt like, or anything, maybe a piece of advice that you got, or a moment of inspiration that maybe put you at ease with leaving that behind to go do something you hadn't thought of yet?
No, I mean, I was so scared, and I was like, well, I'm just not the type of person that is going to sit on my butt and do nothing. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's kind of why I jumped full force into creating content for the site, because I was like, well, I can't just sit here and do nothing. So this is better than doing nothing. Was it what I thought I wanted to do at the time? No, absolutely not. But I went for it. So I just kind of went for it, and I guess I was just trying something new, without kind of almost even knowing it, in a way. And, I definitely left that fashion piece of me for a little bit, but it's come back in recent years, and I'm so happy that it has, because I definitely missed it. So it's cool to see how a full circle picture. But I mean, at that time, I just kind of jumped right into creating content for a food blog.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. There is a drive that I see there that I see not as often as I would like, but I definitely see in people sometimes where, the thing that you thought you were going to do isn't going to work. So I'm just going to jump whole hog into this other thing and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Okay. I want to pivot just a little bit, because you live in Colorado. You have a blog called Half Baked Harvest. Whenever I am recommending your blog to a lot of people, sometimes they think I'm sharing some really interesting brownie recipes. And I'm like, no, not that kind of half-baked, a very different kind. Will you share some story? How did you get to that name?
Yeah,
I guess. And what does that mean to you?
Just ridiculous. So my mom and I were hiking in Mount Hood, Oregon, and we were just at the time I was playing with the idea of starting a food blog. I must have been reading blogs at that time during that summer. We would go to Mount Hood during the summers because, I think I've been to Mount Hood for like 2 summers. And the only thing you do in Mount Hood is you hike or you're on the glacier snowboarding or skiing. My brother is a professional snowboarder, so we would go, when he was younger, the family would go with him and do summers there. There's nothing much to do in Mount Hood other than snowboard or ski and hike. So my mom and I were hiking, and I must have been I was doing a lot of cooking during that summer because I was like, well, what else do you do? And I must have been reading like either food websites or food. And, we were like playing with the idea of like starting a food blog. I didn't do it. And that was actually when we came up with the name Half Baked Harvest. My mom was like, oh, well, the family's so half baked. We're just very different, And I was like, well, I like half baked cookies. So cool. And my favorite word is harvest, Half Baked Harvest. And I mean, that's just how we started the blog, because like I said, we started the blog really just like almost out of a necessity for me to do something. There was not a whole lot of thought going into the name. It was just like, oh, we'll just call it Half Baked Harvest. And it stuck. And I get the questions about the brownies and the marijuana and the Colorado all of the time. And I'm like, for a while, it really was like, this is so annoying. But now it's just like, it keeps people wondering. So I'm like, whatever, we'll go with it.
Yeah, I know. I feel like you do just have to at some point embrace it. And I also love that I feel like a lot of people don't start things because they are so stressed about the name of the thing. But in my experience, when I'm having conversations with people who are like showing up and doing the thing on really big levels, there's usually these like, just sort of like side stories of how this name came along, and they just took it because they were going to do it and they had to name it something. And so I love that this is one of those stories of like, it's something that came up during a conversation, during a hike, chose it, did the thing, and are continuing forward. And just want to throw that out there for anyone who is not doing the thing because you can't find the name. Just do it. It almost doesn't matter.
I think
just
that's
do
like
it.
the best advice in business is like, just start and just do it and just like get going, and don't let your hangups like stop you from starting, because you're never going to start.
No, for sure. Oh, I love it. You just got to get going and get creating and do the thing.
Yeah.
All right. You are a best-selling author, a founder, a food blogger, an entrepreneur, a business owner, so many things. Oftentimes in this space, I find people have a hard time sort of claiming what it is that they are, or not even claiming, choosing, because there are so many options. I'd love to know how it is that you refer to yourself. If you are introducing yourself to someone, or, if you had a business card, do people even do those anymore? How do you refer to yourself, or how do you identify what it is that you do when introducing yourself to others?
You know what? Someone just presented me as who I respect so much, as an entrepreneur. And I think I'm just going to go with that from now on, because I think that there is so much more to me to say that I'm a food blog, because there's so many more aspects to my business. And, like you said, I am an author. I am a content creator. I, am a business owner. There's so many more things in the works that I am. So, an entrepreneur really describes it best, I would say. And I love, that sounds good. So I'm going to go with an entrepreneur.
High five. High five for embracing that one. I feel like that one's the most maneuverable. You can really do all kinds of things with that one.
Yeah.
That is a very large box that you can totally play in.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. I love it. Let's dive into content creation, because this is really the piece that I wanted to get you in on today. And you even just like blew my mind a little bit more. This idea that you've been publishing at least 5 times a week for 10 years. You are creating a ton of content, a ton of recipes. You are creating recipes for your blog, and you're also doing reels on Instagram and your books, and goodness knows what else you're up to. First, do you have any idea how many recipes you've created in that time?
Oh my gosh. That is such a good question. Well, like, I know at one point my mom was saying it was over 1,000, but I feel like that was like a little bit ago. So, I mean, but I don't think that was including the books. I think that was like the blog. I honestly have no idea.
Thousands.
But
I would imagine.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some old gems on the site, like good oldie recipe gems. Like, I'm like, damn, that's a good recipe. I mean, sometimes I look
you can
back
still
and
say that.
I'm like, the photo is awful, but like the recipe is solid.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot, like thousands of recipes, everyone. How many books have you written?
3.
3 books, 5 times a week for 10 years. So much creativity being output from your brain, heart, and fingers on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. My biggest question for you, or where I really want to start this conversation, is how do you stay inspired to create that much?
Yeah. My biggest thing is honestly like staying off of social. Like, I don't really follow a whole lot of content creators. I don't get inspiration from that. I have always found it hinders me. So I don't really get a lot of inspiration from that. And it's looking to outside sources. I said that I grew up loving fashion. Fashion is a huge, huge source of inspiration for me. My family is a huge source of inspiration for me. The seasons are a huge source of inspiration for me. Travel is a huge source of inspiration for me. It's kind of like seeking these outside sources that because you just never know what can inspire something. Like the most random things, especially for myself, because I'm such a visual person. Everything in my brain works in a visual way. The most random thing can really bring up an idea. And so I try to surround myself with people that I really enjoy and that don't bring me down or whatever. And I do stay off of social. I really don't do any scrolling. I only follow people that do inspire me. That's kind of like a big thing. And I've been saying this a lot lately, so I feel kind of bad, but like, I really have no problem with the unfollow button. And if this content isn't serving you anymore, it's just not serving you anymore. So, I always say that, but the seasons are huge. My family is huge. Travel is huge. Fashion is a big piece of it. And I just am constantly looking to these outside sources for inspiration that like aren't really the internet. And I think that's really, really helpful to me. And I spend a lot of time thinking, rethinking, reworking, and just like then doing and then reworking a little bit, So I just kind of like, I think the biggest thing for me is I just kind of keep doing. And I don't let do I have roadblocks? Sure. But like, that doesn't mean I'm not going to create something that day. So I just keep going. And a lot of times, like, it might take a while to come to an idea, but like once I get it, it's my favorite. So you just got to keep searching.
Yeah. Okay. So real life inspiration, right? In the real world.
Yeah.
Great gem there.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm just not like, I spend a lot of time on my phone as it is. So like scrolling just gives me like I'm just like, please no, I don't want to do this.
Perfect. If anyone was looking for any additional permission to find inspiration elsewhere, please take that, put down your phone, go out in the world and be inspired. It's October, and that means we're in the final countdown to meet our goals in our businesses for the year. And in this macroeconomic climate, you're also probably thinking about how to best optimize things like budgets and making sure you're scaling your operations into the new year. But you don't want the best probable solution to deal with whatever comes next. You want the best solution, period. Whatever stage of business you're in, HubSpot CRM platform is ready to grow with you at the flip of a metaphorical switch. With totally customizable hubs, HubSpot has thousands of apps that you can easily integrate, use, and get rid of whenever you need them or don't. Plus, clear pricing and an easy-to-use interface means you're not left guessing about whether or not you're getting what you need. That's because HubSpot isn't here to probably grow your business. It's here to help you grow your business, period. Learn how HubSpot can help you grow your business better at HubSpot.com. Late payments from clients and customers is often the worst part of doing business. Not only does it mess with that ever-precious cash flow, it's also just awkward and honestly pretty maddening. I mean, you have enough to worry about, so why not let FreshBooks chase down those unpaid invoices for you, which is the power of their automated late payment reminders. Not only will it save you time, it will also keep you from that awkward exchange with your clients about their overdue payments. You can customize these emails and then FreshBooks sends them out and you just keep yourself focused on the other things that need your attention. Try FreshBooks free for 30 days, no credit card required. Go to freshbooks.com/beingboss to get started today. You talked a little bit, you sort of hinted at this motivation piece that I wanted to move in next. And, judging by part of like the previous part of this conversation, I feel like you don't need motivation. You just need to do, which I love. And it's something that we've talked about here on Being Boss before is, again, as we're just talking about, some people won't do the thing because they can't think of the perfect name. A lot of times people are waiting for motivation to do the thing when you don't need motivation. You just need to show up and do the work. And that sounds like your sort of way of being as well, is it's not necessarily motivation. Showing up and doing it is your default. It's how you create, and that's what you're here to do. Does that resonate with you? Or is there like another piece of motivation in there that you find helps keep you going?
I think there's certain things that I need motivation for more than others. I think that I am just like a weirdly sickly driven person. Like
entrepreneur, there you go.
I just think that I really just have a very strong desire to create and to keep moving forward and to keep doing and to keep always be doing something more. I love to provide for people. I love to create content. And I love to work. I'm just weird in that way. But there are certainly things that I like drag my feet on that aren't as exciting for me, that I need motivation for. Bigger projects, like things that like have a longer timeline. I like starting those is hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's definitely things like I'm not just like getting up every single morning and like not having a problem here. Like I have projects that I'm working on that I'm just like, this is daunting. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of just like pushing forward and like you just like doing it and getting it done. So I'm just kind of like that type of person though. I'm just not going to like, I'm just going to keep doing it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I feel like you even sort of hinted at a little bit there too, this idea that you're weird because you're so driven, which I don't think is the case. I think you're just driven. I think that's totally fine. And I feel like a lot of times, I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast, or, if you had the ambition to start your own business, you are that way. And I do think society has a way of letting us know that maybe we're weird or overdriven, or, we need to chill out or whatever. But I think there's something too, if you are just innately that kind of person, embrace it and do your work. I love that for you. And same for you. You are creating so much great stuff, and your creativity feeds your soul, in which case, yeah, show up and create all the content you could ever create and all of your other projects, whether they're as easy to do or not, without shame, or I don't know, you're not weird. You're a boss. High five.
It just, it is who I've learned to just like embrace who I am, because I am not your average. Like there is no doubt, like I'm just not your average. Definitely have my weird quirks. I definitely, I have lots of different things about me, and I've just like, you are who you are to a point. Obviously, if you have some things you need to work on, like you should be working on those and be, but, you are who you are, and the things that makes you, think in this day and age, there's so many people really trying to mimic other people and be other people. And I just think that there's something so special about having special things about you. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes the world interesting. Like, why are you unique? You can't be trying to do the same thing as another person because they're already doing it and they're probably going to be doing it better than like you can do it. So find what, really excites. I always say this, find what really excites you and run with it and embrace. I think it's so important to like kind of embrace your flaws, because at the end of the day, like a lot of times they can be that thing that's really special about you. I mean, if they're like good flaws, like you just obviously like everything, you guys got to like whatever, but, I've just like really learned to embrace the things that make me different, because they also make me who I am. And I think why people like to follow me too. So.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you for sharing all of that. I agree. I agree with all of those things. I think that those of us in these highly productive spaces do have to embrace the fact that we are a little more productive, or like have more of a desire to be productive. And then I also think those like weird, quirky things, my thought is that like those are the things that you're here to learn about in your life. And if you like shun them or ignore them or, try to work around them, then you're not here learning the lessons or experiencing the world in quite the way that you're supposed to, which is another reason for embracing your weird little quirks. Mm-hmm. Embrace them and, I don't know, see what you can make out of it.
For sure.
Okay, I want to dive into what this process actually looks like. So 5-ish recipes a week or similar. And I sort of want to look at this in 2 angles. So maybe you can pick or choose or blend them together. We can do them separately. We'll see what happens. But on one hand, I'd love to know what like a day in the life or a week in the life of you and you showing up and doing all of this work looks like. And then on the other side, I kind of would like to know what like the life or like the birthing of a recipe looks like. So if one of those feels more inspiring to you in this moment, feel free to pick. But I'd love to know what the process of you being you looks like.
Sure. Well, it's not that exciting, not going to lie. It's truly not. It's when I am here home in Colorado, and it's a cooking day. I do try to break out my days, my time between like a cooking day and an admin day. I don't like to bounce back and forth though. Like on Monday, I have to take meetings because they're important. So I have to do it. And I will also be cooking on Monday. So I hate doing that. But, if it's a cooking day, I am, regardless of whether it's a cooking or an admin day and I'm home, I'm getting up and the first thing that I'm doing is, I'm drinking water. I drink a big glass of water if you really need to know. And then I'm out the door for a hike. Like I really don't do anything. I don't touch my phone. I don't do very like sensitive towards my phone. I get no notifications. Like I hate notifications. I hate text messages. It's just so not my thing. I'm sorry. I just don't. I'm out the door and I'm hiking. Hiking is like I have tried meditation so much, but like hiking's like my meditation. It's also my workout. I've never been someone that wants to go to the gym, but I need that physical activity. Like it gets my endorphins going. It's when I'm most creative. Like I have to do something in the morning or I'm not 100% the rest of the day. Like I'm totally off. So I'm out the door for a hike and that's the first thing I do. It's like it's the first thing I do no matter what day it is. And I'm home, do the coffee, do all that, do the whole like little morning ritual. And then I'll head from home to the studio. Now I'm very lucky in that my home is about a football field away from our studio space. So it's very, very nice and very convenient. And I'm so happy and thankful that it wasn't always that way where I was working out of my house for a while and I was living with all of this behind me and just like living in dishes and surfaces. And it was just too much. So very thankful to separate the two. And it's kind of, even though they're like right next to each other, it is so nice to go home at the end of the day. It's just like something about it. You're just like, oh, zen. But when I'm here, I enter in, I kind of open up my computer. I don't honestly usually open up my email until nighttime. I try to avoid it. Recently, I have been opening up my email because there's just a lot of things happening and it's such a distraction. It is such a distraction. But I am the type of person that is not very with my content. Like everybody thinks I'm, weeks, months in advance planned out. No, not even close. I said I was inspired by the seasons. I am inspired by the seasons so much. I am someone who really needs to be excited about what I'm doing that day. So I never really have an idea of what I'm making when I come in here in the morning. It is me in the morning brainstorming, deciding what I want to make, picking like, okay, I want to do this. I want to do that. And I write the recipe. I write a grocery list if I need some groceries, all of the things. And then I start cooking for the day. And I'm really cooking from like the time that I get here, which is usually between 8:30 and 9 to 7 p.m. And like right now, I'm not leaving here until 8 p.m. because the sun is up. If the sun is up, I'm here, I'm cooking, I'm working. So they're long days. I try to get in as much as I can. Also, a lot of people think that I'm doing like 5 recipes a day. Oh my God, no, that is not the case at all. Like, guys, it's a slow process. I take my time with these things. And like the baking recipes, like the cooking recipes, sure, maybe I'm getting them right the first time. Maybe I'm not, but like, I have to test these. They got to work. So, the baking recipes could need a lot of retesting or redoing, or like, I could start it and be like, this isn't going to work. Scratch this idea. Like, or I can literally get through all of the photos, all of the video, and be at the end of it, be like, I don't like this. This is no good. I'm not using this. I'm very particular about the things that I share. If it doesn't feel special to me and it doesn't feel worthy of posting, I will not share it. I think that can be a little bit troublesome for me because I've honestly noticed that the content that I have shared that I've been like not as excited about performs the best. I'm just bizarre. It's bizarre.
That's how it works. That's how it works sometimes.
I know. It's bizarre. So that's kind of like a cooking day. And I'm really here. I don't have like, people think I have help and all of these things. Like it's me, it's my phone, it's a camera, and nothing special, so, and a kitchen. It's a great kitchen. It's a nice kitchen. I will say that. I have a lot of space, which is really nice. And I have a lot of dishes. But it's super basic. It's not like this huge team of people doing things. I think one of the keys to my success, which is also very hard as we're growing and we're creating more and we're working on new projects and new things that are much bigger picture. I think one of the keys though for me is that I've always been that person that's creating the content that is really the brains behind the operations. And it's me. It's really me. So I'm the one kind of here. I do have help with dishes and I do have help with the grocery store and things like that. But as terms of like creating the content, filming the content, photographing the content, that is all me. Doing the recipes, doing the re-edits to the recipes, writing the recipes. That's all me. So that's what I'm doing kind of like here during the day on a cooking day. If it is an admin day, try to bulk up all of those calls. I'm either doing podcasts, I'm either in meetings, I'm on the phone. Like today, I am on the phone from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. Like back to back to back. So, that's an admin day. It's just kind of like that. And then I do emails and write content and things like that at night.
Yeah. Oh,
so there's long days, and then I go home, and even though like I'm home, that's when I open up my email and I get back to, I'm not the greatest with email, but like, that's when I respond to the important emails. That's when I'm posting my Instagram stories. It's a lot of hard work. I think people underestimate having your own business because when it is your business, it really doesn't sleep. It's kind of a 24/7 thing. And I think that most business owners will tell you that. Like, it's a lot of work. Because there's always something to do.
There's always something to think about. That's what,
Always
like, I'm always thinking about it. Even if I'm not doing it, I'm thinking it.
Yeah.
That is such a great little peek behind the scenes at what it is that you're doing. Question: if you are doing a cooking day, when is that episode? Obviously a podcaster here. When is that recipe going live?
Usually I've been good enough in the last couple of years about it. Like, so that's like a week out. I have at least a week of content. Sometimes it is the next, it's never the next day, but it could be the following day.
Yeah.
It just depends. It just depends, honestly, where I'm at. Like, I was just in New York for a week, so I'm pretty low on content. And the recipe that I made yesterday is going to be Monday's recipe.
Perfect. Are you ever doing more than one recipe in a day? And are you being strategic with your recipes across an entire week?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean about the strategic with my recipes about across an entire week.
Like, are you meal planning your recipe tests, basically?
No, not really. I am
love it.
I am so off the cuff.
Yeah.
But no, I usually try. I mean, some days it's only one recipe that I'm getting through, and some days it's two. Some days it's three, but most of the time, two is like a great average.
Love it. And when it comes to planning out your content on whatever scale it is that you're doing, because I know you do baked goods, you'll do like a soup or, some sort of just like hot cooked thing. And then cocktails. Are you like thinking I've done, 3 hot meals, I need to do a baked good and a cocktail, or is there no strategy in that?
No,
where do you fall?
I try to like make sure that it's not like all week long, a bunch of pastas or something like that.
Sure.
When I started, I was really, really particular for some reason about Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday were all like a savory dinner type of recipe or something like that. And Tuesday and Friday were something sweet. I've stuck with that mentality for most of the 10 years, to be honest with you. Now I'm like a little bit more lenient with what Tuesday is. Sometimes Tuesday is like a fun appetizer, or it's usually not a dinner. I think it's just nice to break those up. But Friday is usually always some kind of sweet. I don't know. Friday just seemed like a fun day. Do something sweet. Indeed. So I rolled with it. And then Saturday has always been my cocktail day, especially like in October for the last like 3 years or so. I'm not even sure now. It's been a minute. I do cocktail Saturday through October, November, and December. So like October is, the start of fall drinks, some fun Halloween ones usually, because I love Halloween. I'm a holiday girl. Love the holidays. And then November is, holiday cocktails, entertaining cocktails, and December is Christmas cocktails. And I have a lot of fun with them. So I always do. And that's 6 recipes a week on the cocktail days. But I have so much fun with those. And those are just like a way for me. That's just like a different kind of creativity that I have a lot of fun with. And I love holiday content. I'm very excited for the coming months.
I can tell when you started talking about that. No one can see this, but you just like, you light up, you start talking with your hands a lot. You were so excited.
I'm down. I have like a little bit of a cold, so I'm like pale as all heck right now. And you can just see, it's like I love it.
Yeah. Love some holiday cocktails. Agreed. I have tried several. They are fantastic. And actually, what I want to do too, for anyone who's interested in my favorite recipes of yours, I will make sure they are in the show notes. I'm going to send those to the team.
Tell me one of yours. What's your favorite off the top of your head?
Oh, my favorite. I've had it like 2 or 3 times always this summer. For me, it's like the quintessential summer one. And I think it's like one of your most popular. It's that corn, bacon, chicken, like creamed corn situation.
That's a good recipe.
Oh my God, everybody. It is delicious.
If you guys haven't made that, top notch.
It is top notch. I think about it.
We're like at the end of corn right now, corn season. It's a good time to make it.
Yeah, I squeezed one more time of making it out of the last corn that I could get as well. I was like, all right, these are like the sad pieces, y'all. We can have it one more time.
Yeah.
One more time.
Yeah.
So that's my most top of mind favorite. But I'll go through, add a couple to our show notes if anyone is interested. Emily's cherry picked faves.
No, I'm curious. I want to know.
Perfect. I'll make sure you have a link. So I love this little peek because what I wanted to illustrate for anyone listening is how it is that you go at content strategy. Again, I think a lot of people don't go into creating content on this level because they think they need to plan things a month in advance or they need to have this incredibly rigid structure.
That's when I get in trouble.
Okay, so maybe lessons learned.
Like I just won't be excited anymore and I won't use the content. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I have to feel excited about what I'm sharing. I have to feel excited.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I can relate to that in seasons when we do a bunch of like really like batched up episodes because maybe I want to take a month off or whatever it may be. I struggle with some of the ones that come out at the end of it because I don't even remember having that conversation or who was it? Or like someone will, email me like, I love that thing you said. And I'm like, what did I say? Like, I don't even, it's difficult for me
I understand that too. But like also what I mean is that like I have to be excited in the moment of creating it. So if I'm creating recipes in August or November, I'm not excited and I'm not inspired. So that's kind of what I mean. Like I have to feel inspired in the time. And so because I'm creating for that time and then posting in that time, that's why I'm not I would love to be months in advance on content in reality, but like, I just need to feel really inspired like on that day to create something. So that's why it's always really hard. Like cookbooks are actually really, really hard for me because I'm essentially creating a recipe for something that isn't going to be seen for honestly like 2 years.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard for me to like be excited about that and to be like I want to create this. And a lot of times I'm creating things because you're creating cookbook content. Like a lot of times you're creating those recipes within a span of 2 months. So you could be needing to create fall recipes in literally the spring. That's not like, I don't want to be doing that. So that's what I mean by it being like really hard for me to be in advance.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense because what I'm also hearing here is that maybe one of the ways that you've been able to keep at content creation on this level, and not even content creation, like that, just creativity, like creation for creativity's sake, is that you have prioritized creating in the way that keeps you inspired enough to keep creating. Whereas I feel like a lot of times people will over systemize or like prioritize the wrong things, like being super ahead or making sure things are super strategically planned out to meet, X, Y, or Z goal. Whereas your goal is being inspired enough to show up that day and do the thing.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. And my cookbook editors and publisher, they hate me. Because they hate me because the way that I like to do the books is really like way too fast for them to on their end to actually like create the book, because I'm like, okay, well, I want to create the content this way and do it like this so that I'm excited about it, and then it's going to publish in 6 months. So you guys have like 6 months to take this and do it. Whatever. Anyways, it's very last minute with me, and they hate me for that, but they love the books. So we're good.
Right? Yeah. So you can get your way in some things, at least. I think that's such an important thing to highlight here is that you have figured out what works for you. And even if it doesn't work for, blueprints or, sort of blogging, quote unquote, best practices, is more like what people want you to do.
Those blogging best practices.
Right? You shouldn't. You shouldn't. I think what you're doing is fantastic.
Sorry.
Right. But you're showing up to do it in the way that you most want to do it. And because of that, you've been able to stick around for this long, creating in this way, in a way that is and I also just want to highlight that, like, you're not, a content creator creating some TikToks or even just a blog post. You're creating a recipe. You are photographing said food. You are then writing about it and then creating accompanying marketing or social media stuff around it. This is a vast creative process. And you have really found what most works for you. Did you always feel that way? And if not, how long did it take you to get to that place?
Well, I've always been in this place because I've just always done it this way. I've tried to do it another way and it doesn't work for me. I've tried to sit and have days where I plan my days and I plan my weeks, and I'm just like, I can't do this. This is a waste of time for me. So I just stopped and I just do. Is it chaotic? Do the people on my team kind of hate me for it? Absolutely. But also, like, at the end of the day, it's kind of how I get it done.
Yeah. And it works. And not only it's how you get it done, but people also love it.
They just have learned to work around it. It's good. It's a madness. But it's good.
At least you know it. At least you know it.
You got to do what works, You got to do what works, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Tieghan, this has been such a pleasant conversation. I have so appreciated sort of a peek under the hood as to how it is that you are showing up and creating on this scale. I've always wondered, as a content creator myself, I'm always like, how in the world is she doing all this? One, I'm blown away that you are doing all of this yourself.
I have late nights. Yeah.
Right. But you also have a very driven work ethic. We can talk about work-life balance one day to see if that's really where you most want it to be. Right. But you're showing up and doing work in a way that feels really great to you. And I think as someone who admires people's creative process, I do have to say I have some admiration for how it is that you show up and do this work.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I think it's really about embracing what works for you, because especially in today, because there are so many things, you read online, this is how you should do it. And this is the way that I did it. And I found success. And it's like, but what works for you? Because what works for someone else might not work for you. We're all different. So different, So it's just like, you got to figure out how you work and what makes you work. And what's going to make you show up. I mean, this is so cheesy, but show up and be your best self every single day.
Absolutely. Oh, I think that's a really fabulous place to start wrapping this up. I do have a couple final quick fiery questions for you. Number one, what is your favorite recipe?
I hate when people ask me this. I'm just
okay. Then maybe scratch that.
It changes. No, wait, it changes with the season. It really does. I'm such a seasonal, I love a mood. Okay. So in the summer, I love a light, airy, breezy mood. In the fall, moody, dark, cozy. It depends on the month. If it's a Halloween month, my favorite recipe is definitely one of the cocktails that I'm sharing because they're so fun. I can't say what my favorite.
Okay, you don't have to. Then I have a follow-up question that may be a little bit easier. We are recording this in September. I can't remember when this is going live. September, October, somewhere around in there. Okay. Given these vibes, if you were to make a recommendation for someone wanting to check you out for the first time, what do you recommend they make?
Okay, so we are entering fall. This is definitely going to come out in the fall. I would do one of the apple recipes or one of the pumpkin recipes. One of my favorite apple recipes from years back. If you're a sweet person, you should try the apple cider donuts. They're baked, not fried, guys. Try those. They're really, really good. Or my apple salad. It's like a Honeycrisp apple and feta salad. It's so good. And if you are a pumpkin lover, I have a lot of savory pumpkin recipes that are super delicious and a really easy, pumpkin ravioli or like a butternut squash pasta. There's some good fall recipes. My fall recipes, everybody that follows me will tell you, are my bread and butter.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, perfect. We'll go look up some of those and put those in the show notes, but also you cannot go wrong. Go to her website, check them out, which is my sort of next question. Where can people find more about you, your books, and all of these fabulous recipes?
Yeah, Half Baked Harvest is kind of the hub. You can find everything about me there. You can find my Instagram handle, which is also Half Baked Harvest. My TikTok, which is, I believe, Half Baked Harvest. But everything is really kind of, you can find everything there. You can subscribe to the newsletter, get all of the recipes. And if you follow on Instagram, for sure, you'll see a lot of behind the scenes on Instagram stories.
Perfect. And my last question for you is, what makes you feel most boss?
Oh, you know what? It's really creating a strong team and having a strong team, because we're just really starting to do that. And it's one of the hardest things that I've had to do with owning your own business is creating a team and learning how to be a boss, because being a boss is really, really hard.
Yeah, it is, especially when you are used to doing all the things yourself.
Exactly.
Perfect, Tieghan. This has been such a treat. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this conversation with me. I'm about to go do some meal planning with your blog.
Well, I hope you find some good recipes.
I know I will. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, boss, because you're here, I know you want to be a better creative business owner, which means I've got something for you. Each week, the team at Being Boss is scouring the news, the best entrepreneurial publications, and updates and releases of the apps and tools that run our businesses, and is curating it all into a weekly email that delivers the must-know tips and tactics in the realms of mindset, money, and productivity. This email is called Brewed. We brew it up for you each week to give you the insight you need to make decisions and move forward in your creative business. Check it out now and sign up for yourself at beingboss.club/brewed. That's beingboss.club/BREWED. Now, until next time, do the work, be boss.
Yeah.